What's up guys, YST here and welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today, we're going to be breaking down the Ogryn tribe's only composition that I created for the faction games, where I went head to head with Scratch and Odd One Gaming to see who can get the fastest time possible using our factions. I believe Odd One had the Dwarfs, which had some really slow animations, it was funny to watch, and then Scratch had the Barbarians with some really top tier picks in there as well, and then of course I had the Ogryns to burn this spider to the ground. Now, I'm not going to be saying who won and all of that good stuff. I'm going to leave it in the description below for you guys to go and check out over on Deadwood's channel, just in case anybody hasn't seen it yet and I don't want to spoil it for you guys to see the results. But what I do want to do is showcase my team, how did it perform, and my kind of thought process going into this to see what kind of champions I was thinking about to take down the spiders, because it was definitely harder than anticipated, especially when you're trying to speed farm things. So the team that I actually went up with was as so, and I've got some spicy picks in here that I didn't even know about until this competition. And we got Old Gruckus, who's actually really phenomenal to play the role of our speed lead champion and also what she provides in her kit. We got a rare champion in Dragonbane who applies a decreased defense on the higher variation to just amplify our damage over the course of the battle, but doesn't do it AoE like a Sea Choke. We got Maneater in the composition as well, who traditionally I was using him for Unkillable, which I actually took the unkillable off, during the competition, and I found out I didn't actually need it and got one of my best runs from it. So really cool to see him in the mix, and he's also got that Siphon A2 to deplete turn meter alongside a decreased attack upon critical hits. We got Skrank, who's an AoE burner, but I had to get him super fast to cycle his abilities to make sure that the burns stay active, as he's only got a 2-turn duration, which was pretty hard trying to find the optimal way to keep him alive and cycle those abilities, but we managed to get it done. And then we had Lawn the Cutter, who's a 100% turn meter depletion with a triple hit A1 for Giant Slayer procs. So I guess let's just show the variations of the team now, and then I'll break down the stats and the masteries that I used towards the end of the run, guys. So Old Gruckus, I kind of turned off this A3, which is basically an AoE with heal reduction and decreased attack, which is actually pretty good for elsewhere in the game, right? A strong decreased attack option. But Toe the Line attacks one enemy and has a 100% chance once booked of applying a decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. And I was having other options that could do this, like the Sea Choke, but having this extra part where there's a chance of decreasing the turn meter by 30%, I just couldn't pass up on, especially coinciding with that speed aura by 24%, which is phenomenal for dungeons, right? And then we've got a bit of a leech here as well in case we do want to heal back up by 18% of that damage inflicted. Wagon I've got turned off the A2 completely, which is like a heal mechanic, because I don't actually want to survive after a certain point. And then we got Start the Mayhem, which places a decreased defense whilst also decreasing the turn meters by 15%. And this was single target as well. So seeing a rare come into the mix because there literally wasn't any other options to fulfill this role, Wagon definitely had to make the list. I've been calling him Wagon Wheels. I said it on stream as well. For anyone from the UK, you know what that is. It's like a chocolate and it's got like marshmallow and jam inside. It's pretty nice. Maneater, for the first variation I'm going to show is going to have no unkillable. And then I'm going to switch it around for the second or third run, just so you guys can see it with the unkillable active, right? For anybody that wants to implement Maneater into your spider compositions, because he does bring that Siphon, full depletion of turn meter. He only attacks the single targets to not mitigate the damage going on the spiderlings themselves, but he also places that decreased attack on them if you've got the 100% crit rate. So really nice to have that, a bit underrated here. Skrank, we've got a turning off on the A2 because he places an increased attack, and we don't really want this active because we want the spiderlings alive to kill themselves through burn debuffs. We've then got an opener on the Unleash Havoc, of course. We want to be placing that burn debuff, and there's also a weaken to coincide with the decreased defense of the A3 of Wagon Lawn the Cutter, we've turned off the A2, which is an AoE skill, which is actually pretty decent once again with leech and heal reduction. But we just want Snatch into Darkness, which is a full turn meter depletion, and then also the Hand Fangs to basically heal this champion a little bit, but also Giant Slayer procs. So let's head straight into this run and see exactly how this is going to be performing and exactly how the speed tune cycles. So we'll be opening up with that decreased speed and decreased turn meter, followed by the burn placement of Skrank and then the decreased attack going on all of the spiderlings. Decreased defense coming out from our Wagon Bane. And then now we're fully in sync, guys. All we need is that weaker to place from Skrank, which it did. Some good RNG. And then after 2 to 3 turns on Wagon Bane, then a Man-Eater will be placing that unkillable. And then the target of the under unkillable will be changing here. It's weird. I don't believe that it used to work like this back in the day. But it seems that once they get below a certain threshold, the Spiderlings are like, ooh, you know, this guy's not going to die, so let's move on to the next target, which is what you're seeing with Wagon Bane, Interlorn the Cutter, and then finally our Skrank. We're now going to reapply that burn to keep everything active, and a few more burns coming into the mix as well. Some nice War Master damage coming out here. Good Giant Slayers as well. Like, sometimes you see some good procs happening, and then that's kind of where the best times come from. We're at 1 minute so far. Still going through. Nice. I wish we got this kind of times yesterday. Actually, it might be pretty similar to yesterday, what we got live on stream. So boom, one more burn tick, and there we go. 1 minute and 21 seconds, and pretty phenomenal time to use for a full Ogryn team, right? And we are going to be showing a way where I'm going to be taking off the unkillable for anyone that doesn't have Man-Eater or simply doesn't want to use him in their compositions, to show how that works. And it's still very effective as long as you got somebody else to fulfill the Termite role on the Spider Boss. As you see that we needed that Siphon to keep things consistent so she doesn't gobble up all those Spiderlings. But pretty cool team, right? Pretty cool team. Also implementing that rare champion. So let's just switch over with the team preset, and then we're going to be throwing in... yeah, we take off the Ancient Blood. We'll take this off. We go don't use, first choice, and just to show that we can still get the job done, guys. So, like, the theory behind it and how we're getting our best times is we need our champions to die as quick as possible. Of course, leading up to the competition, I was running out of time, and I had them way less tanky as they are today in terms of HP percent and all of that good stuff. And I did have a best time of around 1 minute and 12 seconds with very good RNG. Granted that we had enough stuns placing and our champions was dying super quick. We got some really good RNGs on those runs. But for consistency, I had to make sure that everyone was at the right HP thresholds. And as you see here, Wagon Bane took the smack, leading into Interlorn the Cutter without unkillable. And then finally our Skrank, who has the next in line in terms of HP there. So doing pretty well so far. We got our weaken active as well. Boom. We're not getting very lucky on these War Master procs here. But as you see, the burn will still apply without the unkillable active, guys. Pretty sweet, right? So you could definitely bring in somebody else for the team. Like, you can even think about maybe an Astrolon, who is a Sacred Order legendary fusion champion from the past, to place that AoE stun, control all the Spiderlings, and put you in a good situation to basically never take a hit. Or simply bring in like a reset champion such as Renegade, so you can cycle that stun, so the Spiderlings literally never take a turn, right? So all viable strategies. It was something that I used in the past as well. Here we go, 1 minute and 20 seconds, a pretty good time. You can see the consistency coming out of this team, right? Now, what we're going to do now is we'll basically take out the Wagon Bane, we'll put in an Astrolon, and we'll go for an AoE stun mechanic, just so you guys can see how that's going to be working. We're going to be turning off this one, and then using the A1 skill to basically place the decreased defense where Wagon Bane would have. So this is just switching up the factions a little bit, just so you guys can see how this could work if you wish to replicate a very similar team here. So here we go, place our burns. Perfecto. And then like this, we don't really need to bring in the stun sets, right? Because we've already got the stun for the first phase. Boom. Everyone understands what they're going to do. Absolutely nothing, right? And then in this kind of way, we can maybe even slow down some of our champions. And as long as we can reset and get the stun out on time, there's no need for all of these wasted animations, as you see in here. Like, it's just way too many extra hits. We don't need it, right? Especially with Man-Eater and WRECKS. Like, that Termite is all the way down, and we should be more than fine, especially if we've got that stun debuff active. Burns come out again. All good to go. And we get that decreased defense out, Mr. Astrolon. So it seems like the times are very similar because we need to like cycle our skills to the decreased defense, whereas with the other build, with the Wagon Bane, we had that off straight away, and that was leading to like instant damage rather than cycling skills and wasting damage, right? But still going to be very consistent here. Siphon comes in right there. This is where the speed tune of him was very optimal. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so this one looks like it'll be a little bit less time here. unfortunately. But it's all good, just to show you guys how it could work if you wanted to use an AoE stunner. Nice. Boom, almost there. It's going to be about 1 minute 30 seconds. So it seems that Wagenbane done a better job in terms of this composition anyway, right? But it's really cool just to see the different ways that you could be building these champions to your advantage. So let's head over to the gear and check out what I put on my champions here. Now, in terms of the champions that we've got here, so old Ruckus I've built as so, and we've got in full speed and what's it called? The divine speed as well. And we kind of broke down the skills briefly, but it's this decreased speed and decreased turn meter that we're really using on a single target. Brings in a phenomenal job with that speed aura as well by 24% in dungeons. And overall stats was 278 speed, going very fast. I don't think it's necessary, but during a competition, I want to make sure that I alleviate any bad situations that can happen. We've got 100% crit rate, decent crit damage and accuracy as well, just to make sure we can place our debuffs. And Masteries going down to the Giant Slayer. Well, that's very important, of course, for that triple hit A1. And then also the support tree as well. Just trying to extend the value of our debuff, so the decreased speed or whatever that may be. Skrank. We've gone for the stun set. I did have this in a perception build prior to this, and it still worked completely fine. We're going at 263 speed because we want to make sure that we can cycle our burn abilities before the spiderlings has a go at him. And we don't really want any kind of damage before that happens, right? But after that, they can start dropping like flies. It's completely fine here. Crit rate, you want to bring this all the way down. We don't want to be dealing damage with raw damage to the spiderlings, only from the burn debuffs, and enough accuracy for placement, and enough HP as well. Like you can see here, I got 51,000 on this one. And then I had 34,000 on Wagenbane. And then the second one was 39,000. So it was kind of going in order of Wagenbane into Lorn the Cutter, into Skrank when we didn't have Unkillable active. Masteries, we went down to Fearsome Presence for this one to increase our chance to place a stun alongside some support trees to better the chance of the weaken on the A1, as it's not a 100% chance. So comes down to the RNG if they're under that burn debuff, which it is going to be, right? So it will be a 75% once you have that active. So yeah, really cool to use him in the mix. Maneater, a full out speed once again, going at a 260 speed. So just a little bit after our Skrank here, and that's very important for our unkillable placement, so it goes up straight after Skrank takes a turn. And Lorn the Cutter was going in with just perception and random gear, stats over sets, going at 207 speed, so slowest of the bunch. Just wanted to get that A2 ability out once, or A3, sorry, just to place that once. I'm not looking to cycle this as we was overcapped on turn meter, right? And then Dragonbane, just in Lethal and Cruel, which was basically on my Siege Hulk before, and just to place out that decreased defense and that turn meter and a bit of raw damage with the Wallmaster procs, and putting in a phenomenal job. Done what we needed on the paper, right? And as I mentioned before, I did try a variation with Bellower. It was very successful in terms of I could place the lower variation of decreased defense here and still get away with it a little bit, right? But just for a competition's sake, I had to make sure that I didn't use this. But applying this with some decreased attack as well could be nice. But with all of those AoE abilities, you have to tone down his damage pretty much to 0 and just focus on your HP percent and survival, right? And then we had like Ogryn as well, who was good for like a tank in case you need a healer with like the full out cleanses, right? Yeah, removes all debuffs from an ally, then also the placing the poisons and continuous heals. But it can get detrimental if and you start killing the spiderlings. And then also Siege Hulk, who I probably will be using in the arena segment with this high star blessing, has a turn meter depletion A1, AoE decreased defense, and also a decreased speed, which I was using before I summoned the Lorn the Cutter on this account. So loads of variations for the spiders coming out from the Ogryns, right? Some other highlights that I would think about would be Shatterbones, who has a turn meter depletion, some decreased speed in there, phenomenal champion. And I don't know, maybe Cloud Beast Feeder. Maybe if you want a bit of increased accuracy, increased speed, some shield buffs as well, and decreased crit rate, could definitely come through and play that support role for your team. But in the grand scheme of things, I feel like we chose the best champions to fulfill these roles. But one other option I would say would be Prunder, because he's got that AoE provoke mechanics here. So attacks all enemies, has a chance of placing that provoke and an increased defense on himself. Now, it's not a 100% chance, but it's pretty damn high. And if you just want to control those spiderlings, you can use this to your advantage so they attack your Prunder and nobody else. So definitely something I was considering, but that RNG element, you know, those spiders might want to target other heads if we don't get this active right where we need it. So yeah, those are basically all of the highlight options that I was considering for the Faction Games 2023 in the Spider competition. So on that note, that's going to be all for today's video, guys. If you did enjoy it, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know what you thought about the team. Would you have changed it in any other way to speed things up, or do you think that I kind of went with the best champions to fulfill these roles? Also, stay tuned on Deadwood Jedi's YouTube channel for the rest of the competitions, and one that I'll be involved in the arena one that'll be starting very soon, early next week, so looking forward to that. Have an amazing rest of your day, guys, and I'll catch you all in a video soon. Peace.